What's up, guys? It's MadPack420 with Life Liberty Gaming coming at you with a new one. And today we're going to talk about the Xbox Series X and the S having one of those DRM issues like Sony does. So, and Nintendo has this thing too. And look, the gaming future is going to be digital. I don't like that. I like owning physical copies. But, you know, when you buy a game these days, even if you do own a physical copy, you're not actually buying the game, you're buying a license. And that's actually has been true for longer than you actually think. Actually, since the PS3 and the Xbox 360 days, that's when they started implementing the downloading onto the hard drive features toward the end of those consoles' life cycles. And when that started happening, that's when this whole licensing thing happened here. Basically, you buy the game and it has to verify online whether you've purchased it or, you know, it basically has to verify online that you have a copy of the game with you. So Nintendo does this. Like I said, I have a Switch Lite, my girlfriend has a Switch Lite, and every time I try and play a game that I've downloaded that I don't have the physical copy with at the time, it always has to check in online. It's kind of annoying sometimes, but the way to avoid that, same with the Xbox, the way to avoid that is to make the one console, the home console, like the one you use the most, make that one your home console. So on the off chance your internet does go off and stuff does go off, the home console will always be able to play the games without having to check online. But then we have that issue like Sony has with the internal clocks eventually getting out of sync, and they need to go online to resync. So if it's been a while that your console hasn't connected online, do make sure its clock is synced with the internet clock, basically, and your power goes out and it tries to sync your clock, you can't play the game, okay? But yeah, we actually have an Xbox dev responding, saying it's a serious problem, and they're going to look into that, so that's pretty good. So yeah, popular Modern Vintage Gamer, and I'll link his video in the description. He actually did a really great video on this. Has come out with a video report over the past 24 hours, which has certainly caused quite a stir on social media. Focusing around a reportedly serious problem with DRM issues on Xbox Series X, the video in question has prompted the one Xbox developer to come forward and shed some light on issues at hand. In his video, MVGR highlights that the Xbox Series X in particular has a heavy-handed DRM measure in place that makes using the console online more difficult than ever, explaining that Xbox One and Smart Delivery disc-based games don't always run if you're online, basically due to the requesting some kind of initial install or update. Yeah, so it's got to do two things. It's going to sync the clock, and two, make sure that this game is valid and can be played. Also, even if you do have the physical copy of the disc, these consoles don't actually read off the disc. Ever since they've gotten these Blu-ray drives and these games have gotten more and more gargantuan, the way that they've run these games is actually having to install them onto your hard drive and play it off of the actual internal system. Blu-ray drives are too slow to read and transfer the information. So it's much faster to have it running off of a mechanical drive and now SSD these days. And because Xbox has the Smart Delivery program, which is a good thing, but also in this case is a bad thing, they basically put probably the base Xbox One right now, because it's cross-gen. Like if you bought Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it probably has the Xbox One version of that game on the disc. And if you have the Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, or Xbox One X, when you put the disc into the console, it verifies that this is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then from there, it installs what it can from the disc. And then from the online, it'll start installing the patches it needs for whatever version you're running. The textures, the resolution maps, all that crap. It'll download all that so that you get the version of the game that is supposed to run on that console. So now that's a good thing when it comes to if you have an Xbox One version of a game, Xbox Series S or an Xbox One X. If you purchase the game, or purchase a license of the game, basically, if you purchase the game, then you can theoretically play that game on any type of Xbox console, and you'll get the proper version for that console. Where it is bad is that it's just running the base game. It'll install to that point, but then it's going to ask you to check in online so that it can then download the proper version for you. So that's the drawback to smart delivery. Is, let's say your power goes out and I got a game, I just deleted it, it's not on my console, and I put the disc in and it installs to a certain point, then it stops installing. It needs to check in online to verify, number one, that this disc is what it is. Number two, to check the clocks internally to make sure they're lined up properly. And three, to get the proper version of the game that you're playing. So, yeah, it is a major pain in the ass. He also highlights that the Xbox Series X, like the Xbox Series S and Xbox One, requires an internet connection in order to set up the console for the first time, which in theory would render unused consoles useless once Xbox Live is eventually shut down in the distant future. Yeah, but here's what I will say about this. He's right about older consoles becoming useless, but Xbox is trying to create an entire gigantic library service. So I would believe that any new generation of console is going to be able to play these versions of these games moving forward. I would assume that. I'm not sure, but it appears that's what Microsoft is trying to do when they're building this service. So if you purchase a game license on a game, they're probably going to make sure that that game ports over to the next console. Now, some people will say that this is not. Some people will say that Microsoft says they're going to try and preserve games, and this is kind of a backstab to that. They're not preserving games, they're gatekeeping games, and I can see that argument. I understand that argument, but one day the Xbox Store could go away. Okay, and if the Xbox Store goes away, all those games you purchased, you just SOL. Same thing with the Xbox service, that can go away. The Game Pass service can go away, and all those games you've been playing, all that, poof, gone. So, and games come and go on the service, but I'm talking about the first party games, So all those thousands of hours are going to sink into Halo and all those skins and shit you unlock and buy or whatever. All that, poof, gone. So that's the shitty part as far as this digital future comes up. That nothing is no purchase is actually permanent. And like I said, I'll blame all you morons that bought that horse armor back on Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I believe that was what it was, either Oblivion or Morrowind. I'm pretty sure it was Oblivion. But that one instance opened the floodgates. So here we are, almost 20 years later. In MVG's video, he also points out that all those settings in the system as your home console, I already explained that. If you say your console to home, it'll, fix the issue for now, but again, there's only so much you can actually do. Like I said, if you need to install a game, you can't. So here's what I do like from this guy Oscar K, who was the dev who was speaking out. He says, despite the explanations, he did acknowledge that Xbox needs to find a better way of communicating these processes. In final comment, licensing is a complex area, especially with disks and internal hard disk drives, and we can do better informing the user. I will take this away to the team and ensure that we utilize this. Similar issues have been around since the start of the Xbox One days. They're remnants of the architecture in the console, which is originally intended to be an always online device. That being said, the fact that Xbox acknowledges these issues and has accepted that they are want to improve the So here's the thing. When the Xbox One was announced to be all online only, my issue, I didn't think about privacy at the time. A lot of people thought about privacy. My issue was my internet at the time was not very reliable, and I wasn't sure if I would have a good experience, with the Xbox One, because I wasn't sure with it being online only, and it needs to be online only, and But now we're getting to the point where all the consoles have to be online only, or at least have to check in online every once in a while. So that digital future is skirting. Inching closer to us, every day it's a little closer, I don't think it'll be here this gen, maybe not even next gen, but one one day, we're not gonna have physical copies of games. Hell, you might just have nothing but game services. You may end up having the PlayStation Now service to download and play your games. You may end up Xbox Game Pass to download and play your games. I mean, as a PC player, I actually think it'd be kind of cool actually to get PC versions of all these games to download and play for a monthly fee. But you know that'll be the innovation here this next gen. These services and shit. But yeah, the digital future. I'm not ready for it, but it's coming. So you might as well just live it up, guys. So Game Pass is a great service. I'll say that. But I still like physical copies, but one day we're just not gonna have them. That's just gonna be the way it is, So it sucks, but that's what we got. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. If you like what you see, like what you hear, go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Follow me on Twitter, Gab, and Minds. I'm on social media, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.